Jazzcast Pros.
When we think of moving to a smaller place, especially as aging adults, we often think of downsizing. But have you heard of rightsizing? In today's episode, we're talking with Jeannine Bryant, author and owner of Changing Spaces SRS out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Jeannine shares how this method can benefit seniors and their families at any stage of their lives. Because it's not always about downsizing to a smaller place, but getting rid of items that will no longer serve a purpose and moving to the right place. Welcome to the Declutter Empress Radio podcast, a podcast to help you create a functional space wherever you roam. I am your host, Derria, and today we will discuss how to make your home your oasis.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jeannine Bryant, and I am a senior move manager. And for anyone not familiar with that team, that just means that I help older adults who are moving, right? Moving is such a pain in the neck at any age. We all know that. But it's particularly a pain in the neck when you are in your 70s, 80s, or 90s. And that's primarily my target market. Most of our clients and most of the people that I speak to are older folks who lots of them have been in their home for decades and they're downsizing. I call it rightsizing. We'll get to that in a minute, but they're moving out of a big home that they've been in for decades, and they're moving, lots of times it's to a retirement community or an apartment or a townhome, just a smaller, more manageable space where they have less home maintenance and they maybe have more support if that's what they need. And we help them through that whole process. So we start with creating a floor plan for them and helping them figure out what's going to fit, what's not going to fit. We do the packing. We manage move day. We get them all unpacked and set up in their new place. And so I always say we're kind of like their daughters who come in for that week, and we do everything their daughters would do without all of the family baggage.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, one of the hardest parts of a move like that for older adults is figuring out what they want to take and what they should leave behind. Because, right, lots of times they want to take everything with them.
Yes.
And so I always tell folks, hey, we can't put 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack, right? And
no.
If we are downsizing, if we're giving up half or more of our square footage, we are going to have to let go of half or more of our stuff. But my goal is that they get to keep their favorite stuff, right? I'm not here to make you get rid of the stuff that you love. Let's identify the things that you love the most, and let's try to find a way to keep those. So then we can let go of that stuff that doesn't matter quite so much, right? Because we all have that filler stuff in our houses, stuff we're not using, we don't need, we don't want, right? And so when you're downsizing, it's really just about setting a priority list, right? These are the most important things and these are the not important things. And that's what we help folks do. And I have a team. My business, Changing Spaces, is based in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we have a team of 25 folks, boots on the ground, and we're actually with our clients in their homes doing this sorting and packing and unpacking. And I got to a point where people outside of our geographic region were reaching out to me saying, hey, can you help move my parents? They live in Idaho or whatever. And I hate telling people no. And I thought, well, I want to help you, and I could help you. If I wrote everything down, if I wrote step by step how to go through this process and you actually listened to me, it would be a huge help. And so that's when Easy Rightsizing was born. That platform is easyrightsizing.com. And that's where I have books and worksheets and resources, downloads that people can go to help older adults who are going through this downsizing process, because it's something that everyone can relate to, because at one point or another, we're all going to have to help someone in our family downsize and move, or it's going to be us downsizing and moving, because quite frankly, all of us are going to die and our stuff has to go somewhere, right? So even if it's after a death, we have to empty out that house.
Oh my gosh, you hit on several of my points already. I was making notes from the YouTube videos and and going down your whole rabbit hole of your website. When you mentioned the death, that is the hardest thing when especially an older parent dies. And you have to get them that moving truck to haul out all of those things, in addition to already dealing with the grief.
Right. And maybe depending on their living situation, you have to do it in a short amount of time. And so,
Yes.
you're not only grieving the loss of a loved one, but you're planning the funeral and talking to relatives. But if your loved one rented, they're going to continue to someone's going to have to pay rent until that place is empty. And if they owned their home, then you can't sell that home again until it's empty. And so it's all this logistical stuff you have to deal with in addition to grieving your loved one.
Right, right. And that is always the hardest part, because it's like, what do you get rid of them? Because they're not going to tell you, because they've long passed. So it's like, while they're living, how do when you talk about right sizing, it's like, I like what you said, to write it down, how you want me to help you.
Absolutely. And yeah, so let's talk about right sizing. I always say right sizing is finding that perfect place between too much and too little. Okay. So whether you're helping an older adult move, right? We can't put 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack, right? So we got to keep the right amount of stuff. But even after you lose a loved one, you also can't take all of their items from their home into your home, right? As much as you might want to, or it's hard to make those decisions. You want to just postpone it. But putting all that stuff in your basement is just kicking the can down the road, right? And you're going to have to deal with it at some point. Or God forbid, putting it in a storage unit. I mean, huge waste of money. So it's keeping the right amount of things. So that means really being intentional about what kinds of keepsakes are most meaningful to you, that you want to keep after your loved one has passed away. And this is all fraught with a whole bunch of different emotions and people's opinions and different feelings we have. And so one of my books that I wrote is called Keep the Memories, Not the Stuff, because so often we keep this stuff out of guilt.
Yes.
We don't keep grandma's china because we loved it. We keep grandma's china because mom would be pissed if we got rid of it, right? But mom's funeral was 2 months ago. So
right.
How do we, if we don't have room and we don't want that china, how do we let go of that and still feel okay about it? And that is a topic that I explore in that book because, we tend to hold on to a lot of guilt when it comes to our stuff.
Absolutely. And like you say, you're holding on to the china because your mom loved it, your mom's mom. And it's like, she's gone and now you're left to deal with it. And that is something, because it's like, how do you divvy up the sentimental things? How do you decide,
Right.
how do you rightly divide it?
Here's one of my favorite tips because it's the perfect time of year. We're going into the holiday season, believe it or not, right? And so
Yes.
I tell seniors, so anyone who has family heirlooms that they hope to pass on to someone, this is the time to do it. Don't wait until you're dead. Don't wait until after the funeral. Do it now. Do not buy anyone in your family a new gift for the holiday season. Okay. They don't need more stuff. What I want you to do is look around your house and identify the pieces that you really hope that your family will, carry on into the next generation. Wrap it up as a Christmas present or Hanukkah present and give it to them. Look them in the eye this holiday season when you see them over Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or New Year's, whenever you're going to see them. Give it to them. Try to squeeze out a tear if you can and say, honey, it means so much to me to give this to you. It's the vase from great grandmother. And I've written out like who owned it and why it's important and all this kind of stuff. And then after they open that gift, have someone take a picture of you, your loved one, and the gift. Right. And now the picture is the keepsake. The vase itself is a keepsake.
Yes.
It's no longer some like mysterious old thing that's been sitting in a curio cabinet forever. And your family is wondering like, what do we do with this? I don't even know what this is.
Oh my gosh. And I talked about that in one of my episodes about around Christmas. And it was like, you know what? If you're going to give a greeting card, make it count. It's like, in essence, you're making those sentimental items. Yes, you're making those sentimental items count by regifting grandma's vase, regifting all of those sentimental items. like, I am a minimalist. I don't expect everyone to be one, but I do like regifting things to family members. Like, do you want this? Because I can remember my sister, my mom, and she's still living, but she's older. She's in her 70s, and she loves to sew. And she has like snowman and that she had sewn. And then I said, I don't want it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to throw it away.
Mhm.
I'm like, sis, do you want this? And it was almost like, are you giving that away? Yeah, I'm giving it to you
Uh-huh.
because I don't want it. And
Right.
my mom, she's down. She is
Is
totally
downsizing.
declutters all the time.
Mhm.
Yes. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, in her 70s, how to convey to a person who wants to keep, everything because a loved one had died. It's like, how do you pull that away from them? And you said it just right. It's like regift what's made, most important to them.
And we all get to decide how much is enough. And one of the things I always tell people is that the amount of stuff you like, the amount of keepsakes you have from a person is in no way a correlation to how much you love them or miss them or will remember them. Those two things are
Oh,
not the same, right? I mean, I think about like my two grandfathers who died. They both died in 1994. Okay. That's what, almost 30 years ago, right? 31 years ago. And I mean, I don't know if I have any keepsakes, honestly, from either one of my grandfathers. Now, do I still remember them? Absolutely. Do I have pictures of them? Absolutely. Do I still have card games that I play with my kids that that my grandpas taught us? Yes,
I
absolutely.
love that.
Can I still tell stories about my grandpas? Yes, absolutely. So it does not matter that I don't have like a little ceramic dog that sat on their shelf in their house, right? Because those two things are not connected. And so when we really internalize that, it makes it easier to let go of those items.
Hmm.
And I think it takes time, right? If you
It
are
does.
experiencing the loss of someone, I'm not saying go in the next week and donate everything, but there comes a point where at first I think it's soothing and comforting to be around their stuff, but after I don't know, a few months, it kind of starts weighing on you and you start thinking like, now it's kind of a burden, honestly.
Right. Yes, because it's like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? When you talk about right sizing, I had read on your website where it's like right sizing is not about, necessarily going smaller. Like a lot of times when we talk about downsizing, it's like you're going to a smaller place, but you may not necessarily be going to to a smaller place. You may be going somewhere else that may be a similar size, but you're just thinking, what is the most functional for me?
Exactly. What's right for you? Yeah, it might be all on one level. It might be, I mean, really when if you think about people, our transitions happen all throughout life, right? And if
Right.
you got married and you have 3 kids with a fourth on the way, you might have to right size into a larger home, right? Because you've grown out of, wherever you were living before. And then now when all those 4 kids are grown and gone and it's just you two in a 5-bedroom house, eventually now it's time to right size into something more appropriate, for your stage and age and abilities and even your lifestyle, right? We help a lot of folks who I'm from Nebraska. And so we have a lot of
Okay.
snowbirds here. And so
Yes,
they spend
yes.
the winters down in Arizona or something. And so they just don't need a big place here because they don't even spend, 12 months out of the year here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And you know what? And that makes total sense because it doesn't necessarily mean like you're going, to a smaller place. It's like, what is the right size for you, depending on what stage of life that you're in. And I love that because it's like when people say, oh, well, you're a minimalist, so you're telling me to get rid of everything. Well, no, because you like a lot of things. That's fine. But it's like what's ever right for you at that time, at that
Right.
time.
We want, it's your stuff and your life and your house, and you need to be happy with it. Right. And so that's why I always tell people I'm not trying to talk you into getting rid of your stuff. I'm trying to help you let go of the stuff that's really weighing on you and stressing you out, keeping you up at night.
Oh,
If you love
because
your
it
stuff,
can.
yes, right. It can, and it does, right? But I mean, if you love your stuff, if you've got 4 boxes of ceramic cat figurines that you collect and you love them, first of all, I hope they're not in a box. I hope they're on a shelf somewhere. But if you have enough room for those in your home and you love them and you don't mind dusting them and you like looking at them, great, then keep them. But if you have 4 boxes of ceramic cats that you inherited from your mother and you feel too guilty to get rid of them, but they've been sitting in your basement for the last 6 months, then that is what you should get rid of because that's stressing you out.
Totally. And yeah, it's cramping the style totally because it's
Yeah.
over there. It's like grandma's things. Now, how do you handle the emotions of people the clients that you have worked with? How do you handle all of the emotion that comes with letting go of their stuff to get them in the right, to get them to where they're hanging on to the right things? Because as you get older, it's like you lose your sense of identity to where you feel ignored.
Right. I know that's a great question. And, I always say we don't have a magic wand in our back pocket and we're not trained psychologists, but for me and my team, I mean, we're just people who care. And most of my team is women. So we're women who
Oh,
care.
love
And
it.
how we handle those big emotions is we just sit with it and
Hmm.
we listen and we ask questions. And I mean, a lot of the time, them being able to tell the story of the item or just talk through it is a big help and a big release because sometimes I think within families, that doesn't always happen, right? That's why I say we're like your daughters without all the family baggage.
Right,
Um,
right.
just allowing them to talk through it. And then we do always, if someone's having a really hard time letting go of something, then we can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, how can we find a way for you to keep this? Right. But again, while still obeying the laws of physics, right? We can't put 7 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack. We can't put 6.5 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack. We got to make sure that it fits. So maybe we can take something else out. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of sit with it and we, encourage them to take pictures of themselves with the item.
I like that.
If there's a family member nearby, we can gently float the idea, hey, would your daughter be okay storing a box for you in her house? I mean, you kind of have to be careful with that, but and I do think that, they're smart people, right? And they know it
Yes.
up here, but sometimes they don't know it here yet.
Right.
And it's okay to cry and it's okay to be sad and it's okay to still, even after all of that, let the item go. I mean, that's okay. I mean, we all know we can't take it with us.
Exactly. I know another thing that saw on your YouTube video. You were saying that the average person has 300,000 items in their house.
Is that
I was
crazy?
like, I stopped in my tracks. I started looking around. I said, "Well, I know there ain't 300,000 here." And I said, "But I've seen where other people have had like
Right? I know. I
300,000
often think, I
items."
think it was the University of California that did that study. And if you count every pen, I don't know, do you count every paper clip? I mean,
Yes, let me
that
tell you,
stuff.
over the pandemonium that we all were a part of globally, I said, with the pens, I said, I am not buying another pen again. I said, I'm using up all of these pens that I have right
Yep.
here. I didn't even think about that. You just answered my question because I was like, 300,000 items,
Mhm.
every pen.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, that's what we tell people when they are having to empty out a home, right, to put it on the market and sell it. That
Yeah.
house has to be empty when you hand the keys over to the new buyer. And so that means every piece of paper, every paper clip, every piece of furniture, every piece of clothing you have to decide what to do with all of that stuff. And it's overwhelming.
Oh my
But,
gosh.
it's that process of confronting our possessions, right? Because it's got to go somewhere.
Yes. It's got to go somewhere because, like you say, the storage unit, it has its place,
Yeah.
but, and Lord knows it's like, but with storage, that's a whole nother animal. It's like, no, when you're not, because that's just one extra place that you have to empty out eventually.
Yes. And especially for our clients, who are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. I always say life is hard and
Yes.
let's not let our stuff make it harder.
No,
know?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think that as our, people age and especially our parents, it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I pass down a legacy to
Yeah.
my kids.
But your legacy is not stuff, right? Just like I was just talking about my grandfathers, right? A little bit ago. I mean, their legacy are the stories they told us, the jokes they told us, the lessons we learned from them. My folks, I'm from North Dakota. They were farmers, right? So like the farm
Uh-huh.
is part of their legacy. The stuff is really, such a tiny part of a legacy. And that's why I say, I'm not saying get rid of all the keepsakes, but really curate the collection of keepsakes down to a manageable amounts to maybe, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. Okay.
I like
And
that.
I mean, that means that's the most important stuff, in those 4 or 5 boxes. It's not a whole house full of stuff,
Yeah.
and here's another thing that I often like guide some of my audiences through when I speak is I ask them to write down the name of their 2 parents, okay, their mother, their father. Now write down all 4 of your grandparents. Okay, let's pretend everyone stays married, right? And write down all 4 of your grandparents. Now write down all 8 of your great grandparents. And a lot of people can't do that off the top of their head, right? Now, if you can, congratulations. Now write down all 16 of your great great grandparents. And almost no one can do that.
Yeah.
And that's just a reminder that in 3 or 4 generations, our names will likely be forgotten. And that's real, right? I mean, that
That is
is
real.
a dose of reality. It's hard to swallow, but then, it's not that our great grandchildren are ungrateful brats who aren't going to remember us because we can't really remember all of our great grandparents either. And so it just shows that time marches on. And if they don't remember our name, then they're not going to care about our plate collection,
Oh my
right?
gosh, that now if that doesn't put things into perspective, I don't know what else is. That is a perfect exercise right there. I mean, because it's like nobody is going to remember any of this, and they
Yeah.
don't want to. I have seen so many things like when people just move out and you see the dumpsters just overfilled. And it's just like of things. I have seen people throw away diplomas, graduation gowns, and all of that. And it's like, okay, do you really need this stuff? It's like it may have been someone else's. So let
I
alone this, like you
know.
say, the ceramic pigs, because I know my mom has I'm like, I don't want it. I don't
Right.
want it.
And they do have a collection, I love that idea of, giving each family member, if grandma collected ceramic pigs, then great. Everyone gets a pig, and then you have that one pig on your shelf and that's what, that was from grandma, but you don't need to dedicate a whole room to it or a whole wall.
No, it is not necessary at all to dedicate an entire wall to it. And I love the right sizing term compared to downsizing. I mean, because when I think of downsizing, it's just like a whole nother thing. So, what are some of the challenges that you have seen with what to leave behind when they are going to that different space?
Okay, well, I think one of the biggest challenges is just overwhelm, right? They don't know where to start. And we always say, how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if someone is moving, the way we start is always with the furniture first. You got to pick something. So we're going to start with the big stuff.
Yes.
And the way we do that is we look at the floor plan of the new place, wherever we're going. Are we moving to a 1-bedroom apartment? Is it a 3-bedroom apartment? Is it a 2-level townhome? Wherever it is we're going. We look at all the rooms in that new place. We decide what the function of each room is going to be, right? This is going to be the primary bedroom. This is going to be the guest bedroom. This is going to be the office. This is the quilting room, whatever. Then we start figuring out what furniture we want to go in each room. And then we have to actually take the tape measure out and start measuring and create a floor plan to scale so that you know for sure what's going to fit in each of those rooms. Then once we have the furniture nailed down, then we can start sorting through the little stuff. because so much of the little stuff has to go on to the furniture, right? So books,
Yes.
right? Like if we're trying to decide which books are we taking with us, well, check the floor plan. How many bookcases do we have room for? Okay, we're bringing 2 bookcases. Great. That's how many books we can keep. So let's start figuring out what we're keeping. Same thing with the ceramic pigs, right? How many curio cabinets can fit in the new place? And that's how many tchotchkes we can bring with us.
Those curio cabinets. Oh my gosh.
Even in the closet, if you can take a tape measure and measure the hanging closet space you've got in the new home, and then measure the hanging closet space you have currently in your current home. And if it's the same, then sure, you can bring all of your clothes with you. But if it's half, then that means you have to let go of half of your clothing, right? And of course, we all know this, but never pay to move something that you don't really love. So if some of that clothing doesn't fit you or you're not wearing it, good Lord, don't bring it with you to your new place. Now's the time to let go of it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, get rid of the just in case. Oh, I'm gonna keep it just in case, but I haven't been in that size in like 5 years, 10
Exactly.
years. So I'm gonna
Yep.
hang on
Yep.
to it anyway. That is a word to the wise right there. Now, for your courses, your online courses, who would you say would most benefit from the right sizing courses?
I have the course, and it's broken up into 10 lessons. It's called Ready to Right Size. It's on my website, Easy Rightsizing. And it's really for anyone who is planning a move in the next 1 to 2 years. Okay. And they're going to kind of, DIY it. They want to get started on it. And the course is broken up into 10 individual lessons. And it's just me. If you can click play on a video, then you can take this course. It's me walking folks through. I think there's over 3 hours of video content. We kind of just tackle the house room by room and go through and talk through how to decide what to keep, what to let go of. There's a workbook that comes with the course that you download and you keep track of your progress.
Nice.
And, it's a go at your own pace. So, all of us should be intentional about what's happening in our life, and none of us have a crystal ball, but here we are, we're approaching the end of the year. Let's start asking ourselves, what does life look like at the end of 2026? Right? Do
Oh,
I think I
yes.
still want to be in this same place, or would it maybe be nice to move someplace more manageable? And then just start making a timeline, right?
I like that.
What has to happen? If I do want to make a move, what does that mean? To me, the first thing is money. You got to figure out the money, right? So where am I going? Which really, the first question you have to figure out is, where can I afford? Okay. And so take tours and get a realtor or whatever and start looking at all your options, narrow it down. And then once you figure out what you can afford, because maybe you might like to move into a 3-bedroom apartment, but maybe you got a 1-bedroom apartment budget. Okay. So once you figure out where you're going to move to, or generally where you're going to move to, then you can start looking at your house and figuring out what I'm able to keep and what I'm going to be letting go of. And then kind of just, you can slowly, this is not going to happen in one weekend. If you've been in your home for 40 years, it's not going to happen in 1 week.
No.
So the online course can kind of walk you through that process step by step.
I love that step-by-step process because it is indeed a process.
Here's another idea. We're going into holiday season. We already talked about gifting keepsakes to your kids. Your kids and grandkids and nieces and nephews, they're going to maybe want to buy you a gift as well. And you don't need anything either, right? So instead of having them buy you something, say, here's what I want, guys. I want you to come over on a Saturday afternoon and we're going to go through that closet in the basement, right? And then that's fun. It's fun time with your kids and grandkids. It's free labor, right? They're going to help you with
Yeah,
some of that.
absolutely.
And then
Yes.
you tackle a project, right? And then everyone's happy because they didn't have to buy you something and you had time together. You got something done, take some pictures, whatever.
I love that. Yes, get everybody in on the game. And it's like, listen, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it together, especially getting the smaller kids involved. It's like,
Yes.
okay, grandma, grandpa's things. It's like, all right,
Right.
let's have fun. Let's have fun with it. Help them process what's happening too.
Yep.
Is a splendid idea. That is great. Oh my gosh, Jeannine, this has been such a fabulous conversation. And I'm gonna tell you, The holiday season is my favorite time of year. So when you kept mentioning the holiday season, I'm like, oh yeah, my wheels are turning. I'm like, what am I gonna get rid of next? What am I gonna help my mom get
Yeah.
rid of next? So tell the listeners, where can they find you on these internet streets?
Absolutely. So easyrightsizing.com is the website, and we are Easy Rightsizing at Facebook and Instagram.
And what I like to do is I always ask a question to all my guests. What is the one thing that you allow yourself not to right size personally?
Ooh, okay. I like that question. I would say jewelry is something that I can, pick up here and there. Even, who needs another silver ring? Well, you don't need one, but if it's cute and because I always say jewelry, you're never going to outgrow it, right? It's always going to fit no matter what size you are. And it's
Yes.
small. And it's
Yes.
something that, is kind of easy and fun to like hand down to your daughters or nieces or whatever. So I would say jewelry.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So you have just given me an excuse to keep buying my little jewelry, my rings and my huggy earrings that I've just started
Okay.
collecting. So
Nice.
that is
Nice.
great.
We all need some kind of an indulgence, right?
We need some type of indulgence. Yes, yes, for sure. Thank you so much, Jeannine. It was such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for listening to the Declutter Empress Radio podcast. My name is Derria. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, a family member, or anyone who you think would benefit from listening to this podcast.